How's it going, guys? This is Luke from Coffee House, back here with a part 2 of the Fellow Shimmy. Just to give you a little bit of a recap, the Fellow Shimmy is a tool that you can use to filter out all of the fines in your coffee. The fines meaning the extra fine powdery particles that come from a grinder. You know, there's a big range of variation for coffee grind size when you grind coffee, and this is to take those out. And by taking those out, you're really kind of like eliminating anything that could ruin your extraction. You might get a little bit more of a muddy taste, a little bit more of a cloudy, less clear cup when you don't filter out those fines. So Fellow came up with this. There are products like this on the market, like the Brew sifter, which has a million different filter settings you can have and all that good stuff. But you know, they really wanted to kind of simplify the whole thing, and this I think is a perfect way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to explain how to use it and how we're going to use it, and then we're going to compare two cups, one when we do and one when we don't. And in no better fashion, we are going to be using the Fellow Ode to compare the Shimmy and not the Shimmy. So, you know, we're all in a Fellow setting here. I could use the pour over, but for consistency's sake, I wanted to go ahead and use the Mocha Master, but hey, at least they all match in color. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh this out. We're gonna do 66 grams each. It's kind of a 1 to 15 for 1,000 milliliters of water. All right, so what I have here is 66 grams of coffee ground at a 2 here. And what I'm going to do first is weigh this out to see how much we lost, and then we're going to give it a little shake and see how much we lose from this. And I'll be able to pour that out and we'll be able to look at that. This is capable of holding 80 grams of ground coffee, so 66 we should be just fine. But I'm going to go ahead and pour this in here. Hope I don't lose any along the way. Much better. All right, I'm going to use this, and this will save us any lost grams. All right, so we have 65.5 grams here, which means we can attribute, you know, half of a gram of loss for that. Let's go ahead and take this and pour it in here. This has a bit of a wider opening than this cup does, just a little bit. So it's going to be a little easier to pour in here. There we go. Really nice and easy, and it holds it well. I don't know if 80 would work too good. It's getting pretty full, as you might be able to see in there. But that being said, I'm going to give it a nice little shake and we'll see how many fines we can get out of it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and just give it a shake. So I'm going to do this probably about for 30 seconds. It didn't specify how long you should do it for in the manual, but since there's so much coffee in here, I'm going to give it quite a bit. There's not as much room to shake it, you know, the more coffee you add. So I want to give it, you know, an ample time frame to get those fines out of there. You know, kind of shake it around. It's like your, you know, the old bartenders. And you can see already on kind of the translucent tube, there's actually a lot of fines coming out of this, which is awesome. And I may have mentioned it before, but if not, we are going to be grinding at a 2 for both of these brews. All right, so we're done shaking here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's left, pour it in here, and we're going to measure and compare. So I'm going to give that a little tap, and it looks like we have almost exactly 60 grams. All right, so after pouring this guy out here, after, you know, giving it a nice little shake, we actually lost 5.5 grams of coffee, which is really amazing because that means there's stuff caught in here. So what I'm going to do is take this 60 grams here. We actually adjusted the water for this as well, so this is the correct ratio. I'm going to pour that in there. See, this might be a little bit of an issue because you got to pull this out. It's going to get a little dirty. I'm going to do that because if you take it from the bottom, I feel like the coffee's kind of going to go everywhere. But there we go. Look at that, exactly 5 grams. So, I mean, yeah, you can see right there, that is a lot of fine particulates that were caught up in this grinder, you know, and definitely, you know, 5 grams would contribute to a pretty cloudy cup. So that worked very, very well. Even though we had this thing pretty full, it managed to get a lot of it out. And the numbers make sense too. We lost half a gram there, 5 grams there. And there's probably, you know, half a gram kind of hung up in the filter here and in and around that. Let's go ahead and brew this up, and then we'll brew up the second cup as well, you know, without giving it the shake, and we'll give it a little comparison. All right, so we're back here with 2 brewed cups of coffee, and I tried to keep them at a similar temperature, and I had the other people in the room switch these around, so I don't know exactly which one it is off the bat. But that being said, we're gonna go ahead and give it a taste test and see how much of a difference this really makes. So let's go ahead and taste this. So right off the bat, that one is really well balanced. The coffee we're drinking, by the way, is a light to medium roast Kenyan coffee that we have at Coffee House here. And so this one tastes really reminiscent of oftentimes when we brew this ourselves here in the office. We use the Crew often here. So I'm thinking this one right off the bat is the sifted one, just because it's crisp and doesn't have a lot of, you know, over extraction to it. A lot more of the brighter flavors tend to come out when you do that. And this one has kind of like a nice sparkly acidity to it. So I'm, you know, right off the bat, I'm going to assume that this one here is the over extracted / unfiltered coffee. Absolutely. You can absolutely taste the difference in these 2 coffees. As I said before, we weighed out 66 grams for this one. Shook it, you know, made a little loss here, and then lost 5 grams in the actual sifter. So we ground exactly 60 grams for this one as well, but did no type of sifting or anything like that. You know, right off the bat, these are very different cups of coffee. You have 5 extra grams of fines or around that number in this cup. So it's really going to promote kind of an over extracted taste and kind of a more muddy profile, where this I think allows for a little bit more of a wake up call for the coffee itself. So yeah, I mean, it's just nice and crisp. You kind of get like, you know, one of the notes on there is an apple. We get like that kind of like clean, like it's like the acidity of a green apple. It's really nice, really pleasant, and it tastes just a lot cleaner. Really, like if you haven't had the opportunity to play with a sifter or play with a really, really nice grinder, I feel like this might be a wake-up call in the specialty coffee brewing space. You know, if you put the money down for a Mocha Master, if you've put the money down for an Akaya Scale, if you've put the money down for a Fellow Ode, I think it's time to kind of get serious and start talking a little bit more about your grind size, which I think is the #1 indicator of good and bad coffee is your grind size. You know, that consistency overall is going to promote really an amazing cup. And I mean, this goes to show right here, it's really worth the time. And you know, obviously you could go ahead and get the Crew sifter, but I think it's a little too needlessly complex for what you may be wanting to do on the day-to-day. But this, you know, this is an easy change to your daily routine. Maybe another 30 seconds or a minute with washing it out. This is definitely something I would actually recommend, just based off of these 2 profiles alone. So this video is more of kind of like a recipe. We wanted to show how to use it. We wanted to provide a taste comparison, and we wanted to leave you with some thoughtful notes, you know, leaving this video. But there's gonna be a 3rd video where we're gonna kind of wrap up everything, the pros and cons of getting one of these, and talk a little bit about where we think it works, where it doesn't, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I hope this, you know, gave you some more information on how to use this and if it's worth your time. And it really does go to show how much a coffee grinder really can change everything. And I think this is kind of a really good, safe spot to be able to, you know, adjust your coffee grinder. Like if you really don't have, you know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to put towards a coffee grinder for your home, which I assume many people don't because it's just too much money, this is a really great, safe bet to ensure that you can get a really similar quality to one of those grinders. That being said, I'm Luke from Coffee House. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video where we give our final thoughts on this guy.